already batted it, that's all. We're not going to discuss it in overtime.
He was the NBA's #1 rated referee for more than a decade. But when Jake O'Donnell watches officials nowadays, he sometimes has to turn off his television.
I do not like to see referees patting up the players or coaches. The chumminess of referees and coaches, putting their arm on the coaches and just talking to them, and I don't believe he should ever be doing that. I just don't think it's right for the game.
In 28 seasons, O'Donnell officiated more than 2,000 games, a league record, before retiring in 1995. At that time, the NBA Officials Manual expressly prohibited referees from initiating conversations with players or coaches during the game. The rules no longer prevent refs from initiating such conversations. And O'Donnell says he's stunned by the way today's officials interact with players and coaches.
It looks like you're close, you're buddies. And we're not buddies. We're the mediators, and you don't want to be putting your arms around one coach and you don't put your arms around the other coach.
What do you think the public's perception is of the integrity of the NBA officials?
0.
Mike Mathis, who led the referees union for a decade, officiated NBA games for 26 years before retiring 7 years ago.
A referee with an arm around a player's waist, that to me, it just turns my stomach. And if I was the other coach and I saw somebody down there with their hand around an opposing player, I'd be wondering what's going on and why that's happening.
Mathis was one of 8 NBA officials indicted for filing a false federal income tax return in 1997. After he resigned, he pleaded guilty the following year and was reinstated by the league in 1999.
It's a strange thing, but players and referees and coaches don't need to be around each other, period. I mean, that's a harsh thing to say, but the way the zero tolerance is today, no.
In a court document released by his attorney last month, former NBA official Tim Donaghy described improper interactions and relationships between referees and other league employees, such as players, coaches, or management, and suggested such inappropriate relationships could influence the outcome of games. On the same day, NBA Commissioner David Stern attacked Donaghy's credibility.
He's a singing, cooperating witness who is trying to get as light a sentence as he can. He turned on basically all of his colleagues in an attempt to demonstrate that he was not the only one who engaged in criminal activity.
But some of Donaghy's allegations do resonate with at least one current NBA head coach.
What to you is crossing the line between a referee and a coach or a referee and a player?
Well, no fraternization. I don't think there's any room for off-the-court fraternization.
George Karl has 879 career NBA coaching victories. That's 806 more than Jeff Bzdelik, the coach he replaced in Denver. But Karl says, in one respect, Bzdelik enjoyed a significant edge. He was closer to the refs.
There are a couple of referees that I think Jeff Bzdelik was very good friends with that we think we have trouble here in Denver with. Jeff Bzdelik has told me about some of his friendships, so I'm paranoid in those relationships. We have one referee who lives in Denver, and I think he's a tough whistle on our home court.
Karl says paranoia is the one condition that afflicts every NBA head coach. He says his paranoia is fed by information he's received that some coaches might be placing phone calls to referees.
Does that worry you that the coach you're coaching against might have the referee's cell phone number?
It would piss me off, man. I would feel he has an advantage if he's that close to that referee.
You got one side, you got the other. The referee's the mediator in the middle. No coach should have any referee's number.
What does it tell you that coaches may now have referees' phone numbers?
The integrity of the game has been shot.
Hugh Hollins officiated NBA games for 27 years before he retired in 2003. He says the line that once separated referees from the men whose teams they officiate has become blurry. and at times non-existent.
You have a lot of referees who have golfing tournaments. They invite coaches, they invite players, they invite general managers, and we even had one referee who used to bring cookies to a coach at the games.
Cookies.
Cookies. No one told me that. I saw this happen. And it wasn't only known by me, it was known by the whole staff.
Are you sure he didn't bring cookies to both coaches?
No, he brought cookies to that coach.
Is he still a prominent referee in the NBA?
Yes, he is.
How prominent?
Very.
One former NBA official told Outside the Lines that referee was Dick Bavetta, who at 68 has officiated more NBA games than anyone else. The NBA did not make Bavetta available for comment, but many former refs and former coaches we contacted say Bavetta constantly seeks the spotlight and repeatedly crosses the line when it comes to self-promotion, citing this charity race with Charles Barkley. But of more concern to some is the chumminess Bavetta displays with both coaches and players.
Dick Bavetta. It's disrespectful to the league or to the officiating profession when he's patting everybody on the back, and hugging them or kissing media people. This is a referee. It's a professional referee. I was sick to see something like that. I think that's a disrespect to the profession. And what surprises me that the league doesn't do anything about it.
Hollins suggests the league actually contributes to the problem. He says some refs pursue relationships with coaches and GMs hoping to get more favorable ratings from them. Ratings that help determine how far refs advance in the playoffs and ultimately how much they earn.
They know if they're friends with these people, they will get a higher rating. Take the ratings out of the equation, and you won't have that problem.
To me personally, I don't think coaches and general managers should ever be rating referees.
In a world where everyone is looking for an edge, favoritism and conflicts of interest are sometimes imagined. Other times, they're right underneath your nose. A prominent ex-NBA head coach told Outside the Lines that in the fourth quarter of a playoff game against the Bulls, he clearly heard a high-profile ref, still active in the NBA, say this to Michael Jordan: "Can I get your shoes after the game?"
I think I've heard that story. It's wrong.
Carl says a few years back, he witnessed this scene in the NBA store in New York.
I was kind of shopping, and there was a couple NBA officials in the store, and they were asking for autographs from players. And I'm hoping that's all for charity. I'm hoping that's all for the good of giving back to the game. But it worries me.
You saw referees in the NBA store seeking autographs from NBA players?
Yes.
And what was your immediate reaction?
I didn't like it.
Don't think these players don't remember this either. They remember it because what they say is, "Hey, man, I heard this on the floor a couple of times. I signed that for you." They'd be telling my partner. And I said, "Sign what?" "Oh, I signed him a pair of shoes." What's that got to do with, and he brought it up, at a critical point of a game. And it just leaves you open, and it needs to be out of the game.
The league must find a way to permanently remove the stain of Tim Donaghy, who not only suggested inappropriate relationships between refs and the men whose games they officiate, but alleged in detail how refs conspired with one another and at times with league and team employees to manipulate the outcome of games. All of the former refs we interviewed considered those claims far-fetched. As for the coaches, they hope the commissioner's right, that Donaghy is not telling the truth.
If we have a shadow of felons in our league, it'll come out. We will never be able to hide it. And the Donaghy cloud, I think, gives us the opportunity to open the window up and whatever, an independent investigation, a forum of coaches, a new leadership of referees, I think we can turn it into a win.
Are you afraid there's a whole lot more that Tim Donaghy hasn't even told us yet?
Yeah. There's a fear of something being opened up that has a power that could really hurt the game that I love.